Огромное спасибо концертному агентству Get за организацию интервью, а также магазину Plastic World за предоставление площадки.
A lot of sweat.
No. And no sound check, remember? Because
If any of them approached you and maybe the song was right, would you, maybe we'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
manipulative media in our country.
I pronounce them.
I was just like,
Are we gonna hear some references to maybe Shadows of Security?
in Russia as a whole, I have to be honest, it was like, you know, the highest energy crowds we've ever played for. So.
Right.
Всем привет, с вами Егор Ярушин, и да, это эксклюзивное интервью с группой As I Lay Dying. Как вы понимаете, интервью это записывалось на английском языке, поэтому вот здесь вот можно будет найти субтитры на русском. Изначально мы думали его переозвучить, но в голосовании победила именно вариант субтитров, поэтому, собственно, с субтитрами оно и выходит. Я очень надеюсь, что вы ждали этого интервью и что оно вам понравится. Прекрасным индикатором этого будет, например, 3000 лайков под этим роликом, для того, чтобы я знал, что вообще такой вот формат вам нравится, для того, чтобы я мог с большим количеством артистов общаться. Ну и комментариев давайте штук 500 напишем. Например, напишите мне, о чем я не спросил группу и о чем ее спросили бы вы. Если же вы смотрите это интервью из России, возможно, вы столкнулись с тем, что новых релизов разных групп нет на российских площадках, однако они все еще есть на Spotify. И благодаря Spotify-боту, постоянному другу этого канала, вы можете приобрести себе подписку на Spotify без всяких проблем. Более того, приобрести подписку вы можете не только себе, но и другу, например, в подарок. Или второй половинке. Сейчас, например, 8 марта скоро. Все, что вам нужно, чтобы приобрести подписку премиум на Spotify, это зайти в их телеграм-канал или на сайт. У ребят появился сайт, его адрес вы можете видеть на экране. Выбрать себе тот вариант подписки, который нравится вам, оплатить ее любой российской картой или по СБП и пользоваться Spotify и слушать музыку как раньше. У ребят огромное количество отзывов, они постоянно появляются на моем канале, вы постоянно говорите мне спасибо за промокоды. В этот раз, естественно, работает промокод aild15, дающий скидку в 15% на и так довольно демократичный прайс. Поэтому проходите по ссылкам в описании, пользуйтесь Spotify-ботом и слушайте западную музыку как раньше. Ну а мы начинаем.
Hi, this is Yegor, and we're gonna subtitle this, so I will speak Russian for you, but this is Tim, and this is Chris from As I Lay Dying. Thank you guys for making the time. How was your trip? How was the road?
well, we've only had, I think, 3 or 4 hours of sleep, maybe 2 for you.
Yeah, and you travelled, what, like a 13-hour flight and then...
Yeah. 14 hours on the first flight and another 4 on the second flight, so.
That's just how it is right now traveling, but I hope the shows will make it up for the...
Yeah, I mean, we already have such a great experience from the last time we were here that we're very excited.
This is actually leading up to my first question. Why no Moscow, St. Petersburg, or Yekaterinburg this time around?
That's a question for the promoter. I guess from a business mindset, they're thinking, you know, we already played those cities, we got to go somewhere else, and then hopefully when we have a new album, we'll be able to come back to Moscow, St. Petersburg. And
That's actually a great lead up to my next question about the next record, because right now you have 2 songs out for the next record, and when can we expect, or the public can expect, the rest of the songs for the album? Do you know that?
well, Chris just cleared up his schedule, kinda.
Yeah, finally. Yeah, we've got all the songs ready. Like we've got way more songs than we need, haven't we? And we've been whittling through them. Yeah. So we're going to sit down while we're on the road actually and kind of like do some more development to the songs.
So on tour?
Yeah, and when we get back, we're going to really start recording it. So we were going to start recording it in like February, but we thought, well, as we're all together, we can kind of develop ideas together as a group and go from there. So it's going to be a busy tour for many reasons, but we've got a lot of hours, haven't we, traveling, so.
We tried a new method here where Chris and I put down our vocal ideas first for the demo, so it's like the vocals are actually done before the instruments at this point. I mean, even though we have the instrumental demo.
Right.
But then that way we can have a better idea of what songs work.
So you don't have like a set time frame yet, because you're just, or at least like somewhat.
I will say this, but as soon as we get home from this tour, it's our highest priority to focus on that. We cleared everything up so that this is entirely the focus after this.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's going to be pretty manic, but yeah.
I gotta say, I was pretty surprised that you did not play the new songs on the last 3 shows that you were playing here. What was up with that?
Well, part of the reason was because I got held up at the airport, so we had 1 rehearsal as a group before then, so we didn't have time to practice it that really, and just with the manic schedule of everything, I mean, like, you know, we put the band together and then we we did the music videos. We had a couple of rehearsals. I was waiting on a visa and stuff, so we couldn't get together to learn them to a point we felt comfortable really. So
Yeah.
Right. And since it was the 20th anniversary, and this tour too, the 20th anniversary of Shadows Are Security, I suppose that was your priority of playing those songs.
Yeah. Yeah, and then especially because Alex, the drummer, is from Russia, so we didn't get a traditional, whole week of rehearsals and
Right.
everything. But this time we'll be able to bring out one of the new ones. So.
Just one.
Well,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Maybe during this tour you will maybe practice the other one.
Well, we'll see. I think a big thing for us is because the focus is the Shadows Are Security celebration. We want to have like just enough mixture of everything else, so that when we have the full album done, we can come play another tour like oriented around the fall.
Right. Awesome. So, Chris, basically the first show that you played with As I Lay Dying was at the VK Stadium for 7,000 people.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of go through that process? What was that feeling?
A lot of sweat. No.
And no sound check, remember? Because the PA, the main snake that plugged in all of the main microphone cables, there was a problem with that, so we actually didn't have rehearsal, or didn't have a sound check.
So I'd never played bass on stage in my life until that point, and I hadn't played a show in 8 years. And the stage box broke, and we kind of everything got fixed about 30 minutes before we went on, and we're like, oh yeah, everything's working now. And we're like, right. Yeah. And we counted in, and we just didn't know what was going to happen. So but it was a great experience. I mean, the band's one of my favorite bands, so to go out there and play was just such a surreal experience. And I remember, I think the highlight of my show, I turned around to the drum riser and turned around, and you'd had everyone put the phones in the air, and I just turned around to like a lit stadium with phones. I was just like, it was just, it was honestly, it was one of the best moments of my life. Like that show was just fantastic.
For the people that were at that show, it was certainly one of the highest moments of their lives too, because you know how it is with shows nowadays. After that, you guys went on the European leg of your tour, right? And is there any kind of differences between the crowds and the reaction and the energy between the Russian one, the Russian crowd, and the European one?
Yeah, I mean, it's well, because I can't really stereotype all of Europe. Even within Europe, there's so many differences, So, and I will say sometimes when we're on stage, we have like an interaction with each other where we're just having fun, which was nice. Because there'd be times where Chris and I would just be smiling and having fun, and it's almost like we're having our own little concert together, and there happens to be people in the crowd, So there's like two concerts happening. The one where we're just having fun, playing our songs, and then the rest of it's interacting with the crowd. But the crowd in Russia as a whole, I have to be honest, it was like the highest energy crowds we've ever played for. So
right, and it was always like that, right? You played Russia before, and
yeah. This is this will be my fourth time here. Right. This is Chris's second, but it was even the very first time we came here. I remember. There were so many crowd surfers at the first concert we ever played here.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you guys in the Czech Republic in Prague back. I don't even remember what year that was, and I've seen you in Moscow, and I got to say, the crowd it went completely nuts for you this time. One of the biggest Russian artists at the moment is obviously Slaughter to Prevail, and you guys had a song with Alex.
Yeah.
How did that come around?
Well, Alex and I met briefly when they played in San Diego. I'm not sure if their first time, but it was a very small show, and we met briefly. And so we knew musically there was respect. And then at that time, he doesn't speak English as much as he does now. So he was a little bit quieter, and I was, I was a little bit quiet. We just kind of got to know each other, and then we realized the song itself. I got really excited about it, thinking like this would be a great match, and I sent it to him, and we started talking a lot more about music, and it just seemed to make a lot of sense. So we went from just kind of casually knowing each other to talking about music, which I think is the ultimate, uniter of this whole thing.
So you've got a lot of artists supporting you on this tour. Basically, almost in every city of Russia, there is going to be an artist playing with you. So if any of them approached you and maybe the song was right, would you consider making like a feature for one of those artists, if you like the song again?
That's a good question. I think part of it is, at least with bands on record labels, the decision's not entirely up to the band, which was one of the things that was nice about Alex with Slaughter to Prevail, is that I think he just sort of has a sense of control with the record label. He says, this is what I'm going to do. Try to fight me on it, but I'm doing it anyways.
Right.
Which is a great attitude, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's like some complicated business levels to all that. But for me, if I really love a song, of course I want to sing on it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Прерву себя и ребят буквально на секунду, чтобы сказать о том, что у моей группы Best Watching Me вышел новый лайв на песню «Ясность», записанный на нашем сольном концерте в Москве. Мы постарались сделать максимально сочную картинку и максимально классный звук для вас. Это стопроцентный лайв, мы ничего не переписывали, поэтому, пожалуйста, пройдите по ссылке в закрепленном комментарии, чекните, пожалуйста, этот лайв и, конечно, приходите на наши концерты. Наш тур начинается буквально через несколько недель. Все даты тоже будут в закрепленном комментарии вместе со ссылками на билеты. Ну, а мы продолжаем.
Вы лучшие.
You know, Western artists are a little cautious about coming to Russia for whatever reason. Some artists even, they decide to cancel their shows that are already announced. Is there, maybe you as a band coming back for the second time in a few months, is there something that you would tell those artists to maybe change their mind?
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions, I think. We have a strange manipulative media in our country. And I think I can comfortably say that because I don't think anybody, even the Americans, don't disagree with that, you know. So I'm not sure how it is in England.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same.
Very manipulative sometimes, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah. But I've been really vocal about it, that, like, I've had a great experience here. The people are lovely and everything. And I think it's, overall, it's nice to see past borders. Like you know, I always say when anyone challenges anything or says anything that music should unite people no matter what. That's the whole point of it. Especially the metal community used to come together as a whole. And now it seems like divided on what you should and shouldn't do by someone's rules, and it shouldn't be about that. It should be about music. But we've had a great experience here, haven't we? Which is why we come back. So
yeah, I've actually talked to a few friends of mine in established bands. I don't want to maybe say who yet, but I've told them that I think they should come. So hopefully there'll be more.
Maybe we'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah, but we really wanted to. We hoped by doing it that it would maybe inspire other people to see what we've done, and especially now we're coming back, we're hoping that will, because, you know, I think there's so many bands that could do, like...
It was definitely huge for the scene being here. I moved to Russia in 2024 from the Czech Republic, and I gotta say, your guys' concerts in Moscow, Yekaterinburg, and St. Petersburg, it really, it was very important for a lot of people here. It was, I mean, it united the people, and in the ways that I suppose the Western artists could not imagine how this, in a situation like this, that would be, you know.
Yeah, we received a lot of criticism, and the more criticism we got, the more I realized how little people understand really what's going on and how much they hear little clips of what the media says, and very few people take time to actually understand these are two beautiful cultures that can come together and unite over music.
I mean, that's how it always was. I remember the Soviet artists coming to USA back in the 80s, and that was not an issue also. I mean,
yeah. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, Slaughter to Prevail has sort of changed a lot of things for Russian bands, and hopefully they open the door for other Russian bands.
They also have a lot of criticism in the West for just, you know, flying the flag and doing that kind of
just
stuff.
for being proud of where they were born.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So 20 years of Shadows Are Security. I remember listening to that record about 20 years ago and just being absolutely crazy about it. And it haven't aged a single day. What do you think is the secret behind that? Like, what's about that record what makes it so basically forever young?
Yeah, I think that the genre of metalcore was finding its sound, right? And I think that record, I would say this if I wasn't in the band, it was an important part of establishing what metalcore sounds like.
Yeah.
And I think that at the time, people just liked it. They didn't know why they liked it. And then as they look at it all these years later, wow, that's really foundational to what we understand to be, especially the melodic side of metalcore.
Right, right. I mean, it basically sounds the same still for a lot of those bands. Those riffs, basically, they moved from that record. It was that, and a few years before that, it was At the Gates with Slaughter of the Soul, and then you guys kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think when I heard bands like At the Gates, I was like, I love the melody, I love the aggression, and a lot of the fast beats the entire time, and I just wish there was a little bit more of a rhythmic, underlying, pulse to it, and so it was like crossing those concepts, and I'm pretty upfront, that's, I had, there's a band from America I like called Living Sacrifice. It was entirely rhythmic. They didn't really have much melody at all. And I loved At the Gates, and I thought, like, why don't these two sounds meet in the middle?
I mean, it's one of the best records. Have you also heard it when it came out 20 years ago?
Yeah. I used to be
What
in
was
my
your
local like nightclub, and then like songs would come on, and I was like, "Who's this?" So it was really crazy joining the band, thinking back to that really. But yeah, I think it's. I think because it was at a time as well where, like I say, the genre was developing, like it can be totally itself. Like there's no worry about, like bands these days, you know, you put an album out and it might sound a bit too much like that, a bit too much like that, and it's so cluttered. It was like, I think it kind of stood alone in a genre of like a, you know, like a flag bearer really, and kind of just pushed it forward. So,
So is there going to be more of that kind of sound on the new record? Are we going to hear some references to maybe Shadows of Security?
You know, it's one of the songs I wrote early on in the process that I was sending to Chris. We gave the demo the title Throwback because it felt very much like it belonged on Shadows of Security record, right? I mean, still, it's a little bit more maybe pushed in modern because I think the genre has become more technical with time, but it fits really well. And we say, okay, well, let's have one or two that are like this, and then let's explore, you know, because he's writing songs from his perspective, and I'm writing from this, like, I'm like the old guy, right? You know, so we can't expect the two of us to write exactly the same.
But I remember when you sent me that demo, and he said, "Oh, it might be a bit too old school," and I hit play, and he just gave me this nostalgia. I was like, I haven't heard anything like this in like 20 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it just had this whole thing. It captured you, and like. I love the vibe, and this makes no sense at all without there hearing the song, but like, you didn't really think about it as a single and like doing this, that, and the other. It's like, he just wrote the song as it wanted to be, and it was like, it was great. It was.
I mean, it sounding nostalgic is not automatically a bad thing, because I feel like my generation at least, it's nostalgic. It's a good nostalgia for us already, the things that happened 20 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, so last question, so I don't take that much of your time. If there's a big four in metalcore, obviously As I Lay Dying is one of those four bands, but what would be the other three for you guys?
I think that's a tough call because bands that early on, you know, like a band like Lamb of God originally was lumped in with us as being a metalcore band. I think they've sort of moved to like a groove metal or something in terms of what people consider it, right? So some of those bands are hard to categorize. But I would say that if you include them, you know, they're very much on that like Pantera side of the genre, and we're on the, you know, we mix melody with aggression, and then you have Kill Switch is like almost entirely melody based. I'd say those three, but I'm not sure the fourth.
I don't know. I put Still Remains in there at the start of it because they brought the whole synth thing into it and the keyboards.
That's one of my favorite bands.
Is it? Yeah.
That's true. The modern, all of the metalcore bands after 2010 started incorporating a lot of synth and things like that.
Yeah. I think they were a bit ahead of the time when they Still Remains.
Well, awesome. Thank you. Is there anything you want to tell the Russian fans about this tour? Is there anything you would want them to know?
I have to be honest, I had never heard of some of these cities, and part of the excitement is trying to, pronounce the cities.
That's my excitement, hearing Tim try to pronounce them.
I was just like, I felt bad. Like, I hope they understand that I really respect and love everything over here in the culture, but I am so terrible at speaking Russian.
It's all good. Nobody's.
And then having a chance to see some of these cities and be one of the first American bands to play them and to be able to report to our friends and hopefully open some doors for other musicians.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you for like all the people that turned out last time and supported us, because without that impact, we you know, I don't know if we would have been able to come back. So we're coming back now, and like it's great that people are coming out to support the band, and hopefully
I'm pretty sure
back.
everyone is excited for you to come back, and thank you guys so much once again, and see you guys in Kazan because we're playing with you.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
All right, that's why he's asking about.
Okay. Okay, makes sense.